Hi, my name's Roberto. I had so much trouble learning how to use the TuneBot gig that I wanted to make a quick tutorial for you, so here we go. I'm just going to cover some basic functionality of the TuneBot gig today. There's probably other features and capabilities of it, but this will get you through the tuning process or the fine-tuning process, and certainly the literature that comes with it will tell you a lot more than I'm going to show you today. So let me cover a couple of basic features first of all. There are a couple of buttons on the device here. We're going to use this one first to determine the relative or lowest pitch of your drum, and then we're going to use this button over here to hone in on the fine tuning, and I'll explain how all that works. The other thing that's important to know is that on the bottom of the device or back side of the device, almost under the clip, there's a little hole right here where there's a microphone that's going to pick up the sounds from your drum. So when you clip this puppy onto each drum, you want to make sure that that little mic is placed over the head. It's not too hard to do. You don't need to get too crazy about trying to be exact. However, if you're moving it around, just be aware of if you change the positioning of where it is in relation to the drum head. So I'm going to clip it on here for you, show you kind of the position you want to have. You want it to be between two lugs. So with the TuneBot now clipped onto your drum, the microphone's placed over the drum head, we're going to use this small button to turn it on. And then you want to, as videos I watched describe, strike the center of the drum, and you want to make sure that this little red light pops on, which is an indication that you created enough sound for the bot to pick it up. So here we go, let's see how close I get to center. Yeah, let's call it 126. So this is the relative or dominant pitch of your drum. I believe it's the lowest frequency that your drum is emitting. This is just a point of reference which I had to figure out after the fact, because when we switch to the next button here and start trying to fine tune, I determined that this number doesn't have anything to do with the next step. What it does have to do with is for you to know where you like your drums tuned at. I may tune this one a little higher. This is a 10-inch tom. I may tune it a little higher. We'll see, but it's for you to use as a point of reference. If you know you like yours at 130, then get your drum there. A good thing to realize also is that you need to have your drum relatively in tune. Don't worry too much if you don't have a great ear yet, but you want to get it to a relatively good place. The TuneBot's not going to tune the drum for you, but it is really going to help you fine tune it and get it into a consistent tuning. So let's assume here that 126 is a good place. I think it is. I tuned it yesterday, but apparently after I fine tuned it, it actually changed the dominant relative pitch. But let's assume that's a good place. Now let's talk about using the next button and how to actually go from lug to lug to get a uniform pitch. Okay, so now that we know the relative or dominant pitch of the drum, we're going to take the drum off of its mount or basket, and you can set it on a drum throne, or you can set it, as I have here, onto a flat surface. So I'm on a rug right here, and we just want to keep the resonant head from vibrating during this part of the process. So now what we're going to do is we want to find a target for fine-tuning all these keys. So I'm just going to tap around here. You want to tap within about an inch of each lug. Let's assume that I like the way that this lug sounds at 174. So I'm going to make 174 my target. To do that, I'm going to press the second button, and now we have that value of 174 Hertz as a target. This dial right here, this is going to go to the left or right, negative or positive, to let me know where I am in relation to my target with each lug. So we started here. I'm going to move to another one. It says I'm within 0.5 Hertz. I'm going to leave that there for a moment. This one says I'm 4 off. I'm going to adjust that to try and get it within 0.5. As I loosen the lug, the value changes, so I've got that one within reason. I'm going to tighten the lug on this one. I got it within 0.5 again. All right, it took me a minute, but I've got everything within close range to my target. Yesterday when I did it, I actually had everything zeroed out, so they were as close to perfect as I could get them. So now I'm going to end up with a drum that sounds much nicer than prior to when I did it, when you saw there were some differentials there. You would repeat the process for the resonant head, and then depending on how much you want your drum to resonate will determine where you're going to tune that bottom head at. Good thing is, like, there are other places, but the TuneBot website does have a lot of great references for if you want your drum to sound a certain way, where you would tune the resonating head in relation to the batter side. You just repeat the same process with all of your drums. Remember, when you're doing the fine tuning, you want to mute the resonant, or if you're tuning the bottom head, you want to mute the top head. So you'll just go through the same process. One thing worth mentioning is when you're doing your snare drum, obviously turn your snares off to do the top head. When you do the bottom head and you've got the drum flipped over, obviously you want to exercise care. Maybe you've done the same thing. I've ruined a pair of snares very in a second when I had them unsecure from the drum. But I did yesterday unsecure the one side of the snares and flipped them off for a couple minutes while I adjusted the drum, and then put them back. Just exercise caution so you don't damage your snares. And that's pretty much it. I haven't even gotten into doing the bass drum yet. I'm pretty comfortable with the way my bass drum sounds currently, fortunately. I may actually retune the whole kit though to match this new room that I'm in, which has, you can probably tell from watching this, it has a lot of sound reflection in it. So I'll probably retune the whole kit, but the good news, the other good thing I learned about my drum tuning before I put the TuneBot on is my ear has, with a lot of practice, has become fairly reliable for tuning drums, so that made me feel pretty good. Things weren't too far out of whack. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to place them in the comments. Oh, and all you wonderful people who created this fantastic little device, can you please ship it with a little gig bag or a case of some sort? It's going to get crushed in my gig bag like this. Maybe you can even create one that we can buy as an accessory, because I would buy one. Thanks.